your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur.
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Coupe Stanley pour les Canadiens, le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. 8.6 beer. Intense by nature. And Locage. If the last time you went to Locage was when the Habs won the Cup, it's time you went back to Locage. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro on this Friday, December 23rd, as I fix my can here. And let me try and raise the chair. But then again, I don't know if I want to do it, okay, because I think I'm wearing my I am wearing my PJs. I don't know if you want to see my PJs, but I got to raise my chair. All right, okay. Here we go. It's a sick podcast, and we're live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. We're live on Twitter. You don't normally see me on Friday nights, do you? You usually see my buddy Matt O'Han. But, because Matt filled in for me when I was not 100% on Monday, on Tuesday, and on Wednesday, and I was back yesterday, I picked up the phone today and I called Matt and I said, hey, Matt, seeing as you filled in for me for 3 days, why don't you take Friday off, bud? Take the night off, and I'm going to work the show tonight. And I'll go on at, obviously, at 10 o'clock. The Canadiens will be in the third period versus Dallas, and I'll talk about the Habs, and then I'll get a guest on later on. It's all good. And he said, you're the best. And I said, tell me something I don't know. Okay, all kidding aside. But that is the way the conversation went down. The Canadiens are up by a score of 2-1 versus the Dallas Stars, but Dallas is pressing. 17 minutes and a half left in period number 3. And there you go, the Dallas Stars, they have just tied it up. They've just tied the game at 2. It looks like it's Rupe Hintz who scored goal number 1 for Dallas, and looks like he scored goal number 2. The Canadiens have given up 2 shorthanded, they've given up 2 power play goals in this game. So the Canadiens were shorthanded when the Stars scored both goals. First time it was Jonathan Drouin that took a penalty, and the second time, just now, it's Mike Hoffman who took a penalty. Is it Rupe Hintz? He's the one who, let me see here. Yeah, it deflected off of Rupe Hintz's stick. All right, there you have it. Okay, so 2-2. The Montreal Canadiens have goals by Jake Evans and Michael Pezzetta. The Canadiens actually got out to a 2-0 lead, and they're being outshot by the Dallas Stars 26-16. And it's a good thing that Dallas just scored, let me tell you, because I have to tell you, I'm not in the greatest of moods tonight, and I'm a little bit unhappy with the Montreal Canadiens, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Not before I talk to you about Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America, driven to be different. My boys, Mike Cinquino and Sean Gerard. 8.6 beer. My boys, the Geloso Group, and my buddy Ted, and my buddy Fred. And, of course, none other than the king, Aldo Geloso himself. Intense by nature, the beer for those who follow their instinct and live their passions in order to make their mark. I think there's 4 colors of this 8.6, by the way. There's a 7% alcohol, which is the white one. This red one is 7.9%. I believe the blue one is 8.6%, and I believe the black one is something like 10% or whatever it is. Pretty cool. Goes down pretty easy, to tell you the truth. I like it. And brought to you by Lacage. If the last time you went to Lacage was when the Habs won the Cup, it's time you go back to Lacage. The menu will surprise you. All right, I'm going to tell you right now that normally after the Canadiens games, we get the phone calls. And I'll get to your calls after the Canadiens game tonight. But, I wouldn't even mind getting to a call now while the game is going on, and there's about 16 minutes left in regulation. So if you want to call, I'll give you the number. It's 1-888-585-SICK. That's 1-888-585-SICK. 585-7425. All right. Can I say hello to Agnello and Sammy? Let me do that. Agnello and Sammy, just want to say hello.
What's going on?
How are you guys?
What's going on?
Hey, everyone's good?
Everyone's good.
Okay. Happy to see you guys.
Feeling better?
I'm feeling better. Yes, I'm feeling better. I got my second win here. Here we go. I'm feeling better. The voice is still not at 100%, and the throat is, as we say en beau français, c'est un peu magané. It's a little bit beat up.
Yep.
But the bad news for you guys, it looks like I'm gonna live, man. It looks like you're gonna have to put up with me for a little bit longer. At least I hope. Knock on wood.
Knock on wood, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, so you guys got an eye on the screen like me or what? What's the story?
Right
You know what?
Right here. We're at 15:55. Where are you at?
Okay. Well, I got a replay right now. The Rupe Hintz goal. So it actually, I don't see how much time is left on the clock because
I think you're ahead.
You think I'm ahead? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have 15:53.
I'm getting the replay right now.
Okay. So I'm about 10 seconds ahead of you, which is what I told you the first time we met.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you remember, the first time we met after we talked, it took me, I was able to figure it out right away. I said, I'm about 10 seconds ahead of you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. It's a good thing that Dallas tied it up because did you have a chance to see the highlights in Team Canada in their basically in their friendly game versus Finland?
No, I didn't
at
see
the
it.
World Junior Championships? Well, it's a preparatory game, obviously. They won 5-3, and Connor Bedard put two of them in the top corner.
Wow.
And how long I've been talking about this guy? I've been talking about this guy for a while.
Not gonna happen.
People are watching right now, and they're watching live on YouTube, and they're going to say, Tony, do we have to tell you the way the draft works? It's not the first, it's not the team that finishes last overall that'll necessarily get the first pick, even though it happened for the Canadiens last year. You only have a certain percentage of getting that pick, and there's a draw and this and that and all that stuff. I don't care. The top three picks in the draft are all going to be generational players. With all due respect to Juraj Slafkovsky, who's a good player, he's not a generational player. All right? Generational players are Crosby, Ovechkin, and Nathan McKinnon. Those are generational players. All right? And they've panned out pretty well. Yep. So, I see the Canadiens pick up 2 points in Arizona. I see the Canadiens pick up a point in Colorado. It was almost 2 points if Jonathan Drouin scores that goal in the end-to-end rush in overtime. And I see the Canadiens out to a 2-0 lead tonight. And all of a sudden, I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind here.
I don't think they're going to finish that low, to be honest.
Well, not if Jake Allen keeps on keeping them in the game.
Exactly.
And they keep on picking up points. No, that's not going to happen. You're right.
That was another good save there.
How long have I been talking about trading this guy? Trading him not because I don't like him. Trading him because I think he's good. And on some nights, I think he could be really good. And I think he's a guy who can. What was that? What was that noise?
Cough.
Oh, you coughed.
And what are they going to do for a goalie next year?
Now, do you have the Tascam, the Mixed Cast 4 board, the way I do?
Yeah, I can block.
You do? Okay. There's a mute button.
Yeah, I know. Right here, look.
Yeah. Yeah, let me see. You showed it to me. Yeah, exactly. Now, if you hit it, I won't hear your cough.
I know.
Don't worry about it because I just figured it out a couple of weeks ago too. All right.
Yeah, because then you never take off the mute, then you continue talking.
Yeah, that's happened to me a couple of times. And because actually, this whole thing is very fixable. You know that? It's very fixable. Look how stupid I've been this whole time. I've been dumb. I've been stupid. Don't comment on that, by the way, because I have this board here. It's pretty far from me, and I always have to go pretty far to hit the mute button. Why don't I just put the board closer to me?
The board should be right in front of you.
Why didn't I think about that earlier? Like, what am I, dumb or what? Oh, let me see. I don't want to. Imagine I unplug something right now.
Is your wire long enough?
I'm going to do, based on what I hear, yes. Mm-hmm. That one went right over your head. Okay.
No, I can comment on that.
Okay. Very good. I'm so immature. All right. Okay. Look at this now. Look, I got my board in front of me now.
Yeah.
Why did it take me so long to figure this out?
No
okay.
comment.
Dallas Stars are back on the power play. That's my board. Look at it. Beautiful. What a beautiful board. Courtesy of Ericsson Audio, by the way. Tascam Mixcast 4. We're giving away all our secrets here, all our equipment. We're giving away. It doesn't matter. You know? Oh my God. 2-on-1. There we go. Oh my God. What a goal that Jamie Benn just missed. What a goal that Jamie Benn just missed.
This guy's straight for Dallas.
Guy takes an hour to shoot the puck. He's on a 2-on-1. He gets the pass. Instead of making it a bang play, he's waiting. Come on, man. I can't believe he missed.
Why are you cheering for Dallas?
Because I want Connor Bedard. I'm going to tell you again, yes or no. And if I don't get Bedard, I want Fantilli. And if I don't get Fantilli, I want Michkov. You're cheering for the Canadiens so that they can finish in 18th place and miss the playoffs by a couple of points. I'm not interested.
I know.
That's no man's land. Put it in your head. It's no man's. That's where you don't want to be. And that's where they are right now, by the way. If I take a look at the standings right now, as we speak, the Canadiens are 23rd out of 32, right? They're 23rd out of 32. So what? They're 10th last. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10th last. All right?
Yeah.
I want them to finish bottom 3, bottom 4.
Well, the Canadiens don't have one shot this period.
Finish last overall, it's even better.
They don't have one shot in the third period, the Canadiens.
Better like that. It's too bad they actually have a shot in the game.
Yeah.
I know some people are getting mad at me that I'm talking that way, by the way. I know that. Some people want the Canadiens to win all the time. Those are the people that have wanted them to win every year since 1994, and they've done nothing. Oh, they went to a Stanley Cup final a couple of years ago, and they went to 2 conference finals 2 other times. Whoop-de-doo. Good. The goal is not to go to a conference final, and the goal is not to go to a Stanley Cup final if you're not going to win it. The goal is to win a Stanley Cup.
You have the
You either go big or you go home.
If you have the right management, you can still build a team without getting the first draft pick. Look,
Yes, you can.
Doc, they stole Caulfield. They stole Suzuki. They stole
Yes, you're right. But it makes it so much easier when you have
of course.
a guy like a Bedard.
Of course.
Because then think about it, like you get out of the rebuild faster.
Yeah.
If you end up drafting a Connor Bedard, you're out of that rebuild right away. It's over, the rebuild. Then it's over.
You think it'll make that much of a difference right away?
Agnello, this kid's a phenom.
Okay.
Agnello, this kid is a phenom. Raymond Singh, another top 3 pick this year. Florida missing the playoffs and a 3rd first rounder, and we are set. And yes, I want Devin Levi. Great kid, great family. Grew up a few streets away from me. He wants it because he grew up a few streets away from him. He's going to have the in. Hopefully, if they get him, Raymond Singh introduces us to Devin Levi. This way, we have the in. You understand?
Yeah.
Singh, signed, sold.
Sing, sign, sold. You're always giving him free plugs. We have to call him.
4th plug I'm giving him.
We
4th
have to
plug.
call this guy. We have to call him.
4th plug.
Yeah.
We have proud sponsors and
He's going to be the Sick Podcast real estate agent. Yeah.
I don't know what he's waiting for. I honestly, I don't know what he's waiting for. We're a perfect fit. No, we're a perfect match.
Yeah. He knows his hockey.
Yeah. This is the podcast to do it. You know what I mean? So, we're not doing it from a car here, reading crib notes off of the passenger seat here. This is a professional.
Call me next week, lunch at Milano's. See?
This is a
See what he wants? Call me next week, lunch at Milano's.
There we go. Lunch at Milano's.
Told you.
On the West Island.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for the steak and pepperoni.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for that one.
I'm going for chicken.
Vitherson says Raymond can actually hook us up with tickets as well. By the way, Vitherson, I met at La Cage au Sport LaSalle on Wednesday, November 23rd, and I remember the date for 2 reasons. 1 was my birthday. I turned 50 that day. 2, I was at La Cage LaSalle, and Canada was playing Belgium in their first game of the World Cup.
Oh, yeah.
And Vitherson came over to introduce himself and say that he's been listening for a while. He's been watching the podcast, this, that, and all that stuff. And,
amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. And he's a diehard. He's on the chat all the time.
Yeah, I see his name all the time. I recognize his name.
Tony, when will the marinara sauce be in grocery stores?
We're working on it.
I've been talking to my buddy Ralph DePetta about it, as a matter of fact. From Fruit to Sea in LaSalle. We're in a festive mood tonight. We're going to give everyone a shout out. It's December 23rd. You know what I mean?
Christmas, of course.
Tomorrow's Christmas Eve. I agree 100%, says Justin H. Enough with the patchwork. In order to have long-term success, we need 1-2 more years of being at the very bottom. Did you cough again or what? What's the story with you?
No, it was a TV.
Was this COVID contagious or what?
Yeah, I think I got it through the screen.
Listen, it's that powerful. Most goals, 5 versus 5 every 60 minutes. Cole Caulfield leading the way. Another pretty good goal scorer on the other side, and Jason Robertson. By the way, this is Jake Evans' best game of the season, Nice. Best game of the season. He opens the scoring. This guy could have had a hat trick tonight. And he was on the 2-on-1 with Pizzetta. Did you see the goal that Pizzetta scored, by the way?
Do you want him traded?
A pass by Arbor Jacki, and Pizzetta and Jake Evans break away on a 2-on-1 counterattack. And Pizzetta goes wrist shot, short side, top corner. Boom.
What is that? Tony, is Fruteria Milano the best one in Montreal?
What's that?
I don't know. By Mike.
I think he's talking about sandwich place.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think he's talking about the Fruteria. I think he's talking about the sandwich place. There's a lot of good sandwich places in Montreal. They're in the discussion. You know?
See, Ryan just made
I could talk to you about all the other places that are in the discussion too, but nah, what are we going to do? It's going to be Christmas for real or what? Plugs for everybody or what? There's one that I really like that has a couple of locations. Actually, 2 of them that I really like that have a couple of locations now. But anyway, let's talk about this. I ordered La Cage yesterday, by the way, and I really liked what I ordered too. I got a message from a gentleman who said, "Hey, by the way, you're right. The menu really has surprised me. They've really turned it around." I said, "Yeah, they really have."
And their app is great. If you don't have your app, the app is amazing.
Oh, the app is amazing. That's how I ordered the takeout. You order it, and you can go pick it up 30 minutes later or more.
Yep.
And boom, boom, boom. You can put in any special notes you want. You put the location that you want to go to, and then you just send somebody to go there, and you can go yourself. You
make reservations on the app.
I could send my son. You can make reservations too and stuff like that. Go there and park the car, put the hazards on. Came here to pick up the order for Tony. Boom, there you go. Yep. On your way home, it's done.
Yep.
2-2. 9 minutes to go in period number 3. The Canadiens are being outshot 30-19 by the Dallas Stars. Why don't we do this in yellow? Let's bring up the lineup tonight. Can we do that? Let's do it. All right, the Canadiens have Suzuki with Armia on his right and Drouin on his left. Can we go back to that lineup or what? What'd you get rid of it for? Doc with Caulfield and Hoffman, Dvorak, Slavkowski and Anderson, and Evans, Pizzetta, and Richard. So obviously they've mixed things up here. On defense, Edmondson and Gooley, Harris and Kovacevic, Jacki and Weidman, and Jake Allen is in goal. Do we have the Dallas lineup? Any chance? For Dallas, it's Jake Ottinger in goal, and Heiskanen and Lundqvist, Suter and Miller, Lindell and Hakanpää on defense. And at the forward position, Rupe Hintz, centering Jason Robertson on his left and Joe Pavelski on his right. Tyler Seguin in between Kiviranta and Dellandrea, and Johnston with Ben on his left and Mason Marchman on his right. And it's Faxa with Tufte and Luke Glendening, who had a great chance, by the way. And Jake Allen made a real big save. As he's Jake Allen, by the way, have you seen his numbers lately? And since November 8th on the road, his numbers are absolutely unbelievable. Montreal won't draft high unless they trade 5 top vets. They'll trade 1 or 2 at the deadline, maybe even more. What do you think about St. Louis splitting up Caulfield and Suzuki? I think when the goal is progressing and developing, it's easy to try experiments. And it's going to happen every now and then, because if the other lines aren't going, well, then even though they're magical together, if you keep them together and you go up against a really good team that has a couple of lines and they have last line change that can shut you down, you want to spread the offense a little bit. So I don't have a problem with it. You think the Habs trade for Dubois in June? They won't need to trade for Dubois if they get one of those kids that I talked to you about in the draft. They won't need to. If they get a Bedard or a Fantilli, forget about it. You don't need a Dubois. For what? For what? You don't need a Dubois. If they don't, it's a different story. Mike was really talking about the fruiterie on Saint Laurent. Mike, I don't know. I'm not going to start giving you scouting reports here on every single establishment in the city. I prefer to talk about our sponsors and the ones who support us. And we're so happy that they do. And we thank them, we love them, and we appreciate them. Jake Allen, baby, says Darren, who's probably trying to play with my sanity, Darren is. Because he knows that I'm a little bit upset with Jake Allen right now. Marc-Andre Duhaime, what has more value, a high-level draft or the playoff experience the young guys can have this year? High-level draft. When the draft is Connor Bedard or Adam Fantilli, it's high-level draft. Marc-Andre, what are we talking about here? If the Canadiens make the playoffs, they're going to get bounced at 4 or 5. What are we talking about here? Where are we going here? They don't have balance. They're not going to have a long run. Yes, okay, crazier things have happened. I get it. So they win one round. Okay. They win a round, maybe. Tony Suzuki has not been himself in the last 3 or 5 games. Fatigue, maybe. Maybe he's tired. Maybe he's got an injury. Maybe he's a little under the weather. Maybe he was playing, unbelievable right before these 3 games, and he's back down to earth a little bit. Maybe the opposition is doing a good job on him. Folks, Suzuki could take the rest of the year off, and I love the season that he had so far. I really did. Tony, what does it take to really tank? Bad goaltending. Bad goaltending and injuries. Because when you're a team that doesn't have a lot of depth, and then you have injuries, it affects your depth even more. Tony, can you change your name to Marinaro? Can I? I guess I can if I wanted to, but I don't want to. Marinaro is the name I've had my whole life, and I love it. And I'm keeping it. Then again, if my last name would be Marinaro, people would call me the Sauce, I guess, right? They'd call me the Sauce. Others. Can we trade for first overall or second or third? Need be. Any team that's going to get the first, second, or third pick is not trading it. Not going to happen. Not this year. Not this draft. No way. George Larios. Bon Natale, Tony. All the best. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you and yours as well. Canadiens get a shot on goal through traffic. Scooped up by Ottinger. It looks like the guys are together again. Let me see. Are they? No. No, they're not. The bad part about the 2-2 draw so far is that Cole Caulfield doesn't have a goal. Doc, Caulfield, Hoffman. There we go. 7:36 left in period number 3. Hey, by the way, for the first time tonight, one of my best friends in the business, if not my best friend in the business, Jeremy Filosa of 98.5 FM radio and IMFC radio, joining me for the very first time. Yesterday, we had a great conversation with Stu, who gave me his opinion on the Alouettes and gave me his opinion on CF Montreal. And I think we're going to get some more opinions, and they're going to come courtesy of Jeremy Filosa later on tonight. He probably is going to join, probably going to log on in about 6-7 minutes time. Right at the end of this game. Or maybe before the game's even over. Who knows? I'm hoping that Jeremy is going to be a regular. I've wanted to do a show with Jeremy for a long time. We used to do a webcast together back in the day. It was called Les Columnistes. It was a lot of fun, but we haven't worked together in a while. Every now and then I appear on IMFC radio. We used to be on L'Attaque 5 television on TQS. Pizzetta's going in a box. Bad break for him. He's in tonight and Dadanov's out. And Pizzetta scores the 2-0 goal, and now he gets a penalty, and you can tell he's really disappointed. By the way, is it me or Marty St. Louis lately is when things go bad or they give up a goal or whatever, he's showing his frustrations a little bit more than he ever did before. Is it? Am I seeing things, or is that the case? Four days off for the Canadiens, by the way, after this one. 4 days off as Pizzetta punches the bench in the penalty box. And then on Wednesday night, they're going to be in Tampa. And then on Thursday night, they're going to be in Florida. Once again, we're going to be off for a couple of days here because of Christmas. All right. So we're going to take Monday off and we're going to take Tuesday off. And we'll be back on Wednesday. We'll be back on Wednesday and Thursday, and then we'll see about Friday. And I think we'll work Friday too. And then the following week, we'll take another couple of days off there during New Year's and stuff like that. All right. So a shot that wasn't dangerous at all. Corralled by Jake Allen. 6:16 left in regulation. 1:35 now left on the Dallas power play, with the Stars outshooting the Canadiens 33-22. Come on, man. Let's go. Let's get a goal here in regulation. Last thing we need is the Canadiens picking up another point. Here I am. I said the Canadiens, by the time this road trip is over, I think I said they were going to be 27th of 32. They're 23rd right now. They picked up 2 points in Arizona once again and a point in Colorado. And with 5.5 minutes left in regulation in this one, they currently have a point to show for it as well, at least. Heiskanen. Pass. There's movement. No. Look at that. Intercepted. Jake Evans is a man on a mission tonight. He looks like he's possessed. The way Heiskanen skates is amazing, though. My God. Amazing. He glides on the ice. He doesn't skate. He glides. Here we go. Here we go. And here we go. Go. There we go. All right. 3-2 Dallas. 3-2 Dallas. Feel bad for Pizzetta. Feel happy for Marinaro. Another power play goal. It's 3 power play goals. 3 goals for Dallas, 3 power play goals. Marty St. Louis' team, after the end of the game, it's going to be very easy, right? It's going to talk about lack of discipline by his players on picking up those penalties. And he's going to talk about not getting the job on the penalty kill. Jordan Harris isn't able to get it out. And then Johnston gets a couple of whacks at it. It looked like Jordan Harris can actually hear the footsteps, and he just mishandles the puck. And look at Mike Pizzetta. Mike Pizzetta's like, oh, man. Damn. Okay. This lightens the mood. PK's a disaster tonight. Tank, says Justin. The Thurston says it's embarrassing. Andy says this is a great loss. Trev says, yes, I'm with you, Tony. Let's go for the tank. Trevor Leclerc says there's an empty netter coming. Possibly, but I mean, they're down 3-2. There's 4 minutes and 30 seconds left. It'll be a while before they actually pull their goalie. I would think they'll pull their goalie. If they don't tie it up and Dallas doesn't score another goal, because if Dallas scores another goal here, then they'll pull their goalie right away. But if Dallas doesn't and the game is 3-2, I would say the Canadiens will wait till at least the 2-minute mark before they pull their goalie. Mark my words. Write it down. I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. Between now and the end of the year, if the Canadiens are in overtime, 3-on-3, the Canadiens are going to pull their goalie. I think they're gonna be mathematically eliminated, or they're gonna be like really out of a playoff spot when they do it. But they're gonna do it. Mark my words. Nashville's up 2-1 with 5 minutes left. They win. They pass Montreal in the standings. Speaking of Nashville, The Canadiens have announced that when the Nashville Predators are in town in the month of January, that the Canadiens are going to honor PK Subban on that night. Had some people complaining that, why you honoring Subban before Andrei Markov, and Chantal Maccabee has let members of the media know that they wanted to honor Subban and Markov, but Markov's got commitments in the KHL and he can't make it, so it'll be Markov's turn another day. Another day. I knew it was going to happen, by the way. I had it whispered to me. I just didn't know exactly the date. I knew it was going to be in January. Obviously, Nashville makes sense now. I thought there could have been a chance that it would have been versus the Toronto Maple Leafs as well on a Saturday night, January 21st, seeing as he's from Toronto. The Canadiens doing what they have to do. It won't permanently fix the pain that was felt by PK when he was traded. But, they're extending an olive branch, right? It's exactly what they're doing. They're extending an olive branch. If you want to call, 1-888-585-7425. 1-888-585-SICK. It's the final stretch here. Jeremy Filosa will join us at the end of this game. All right, the end of the game, Jeremy Filosa will join us. I look forward to it. Oh, here we go. 3:40 left in regulation. Let's keep an eye on Jake Allen, with Dallas outshooting the Canadiens 34-24. Down the ice it goes. It's picked up by Joel Edmondson. He's holding on to it. Suzuki gains some speed over the line. Gets a pass from Yoel Armia. Suzuki's on the ice with Armia and Jonathan Drouin. Boo. I don't understand anything anymore. Not that I'm complaining. I'm not going to complain. Here's Rupe Hintz, and all alone. Goes to the backhand, and Jake Allen makes another miraculous save with his glove. I've had people tell, no, Tony, don't worry about it. Jake Allen, he's not that good. He won't steal points. No. He's keeping them in every damn game in the last month. He's keeping them in every game. Drouin and Armia are off the ice now. So is Suzuki, by the way. What did Suzuki do to deserve to be playing on the line tonight? To his credit, actually, Drouin's been better since he came back. What a great save by Jake Allen. It was a giveaway by Kovacevic. He goes by Jordan Harris. Burst of speed. Tough night at the office for Jordan Harris, by the way. Tough night at the office for Jordan Harris. 35-24 are the shots. 2:29 left in regulation. Wow. The Canadiens have Jake Evans, Josh Anderson, and Anthony Richard on the ice. Richard works hard, though. Goes in. He's the first man in on the forecheck. With Jacky and Weidman on defense. They're working hard. The fourth line's working hard. Look at that. They got sustained pressure in the offensive zone. The only thing is they didn't want to pull the goalie, it doesn't look like. Because they had their fourth line on the ice. They're going to wait to change it up, I guess. Josh Anderson just fell by himself. Boo. I don't know, man. I don't know, Josh Anderson. Suzuki's on the ice now. Caulfield's on the ice now. A minute 28 left in regulation. It's been whistled down. They'll pull Jake Allen here as soon as they can get the puck in deep. Hasn't been pulled yet. Canadiens down by a score of 3-2 after going up by a score of 2-0. And Mike Pizzetta, cameras on Mike Pizzetta, who's not happy. Jake Allen's on the bench. Here we go. Offensive zone faceoff for the Canadiens. Dvorak's taking it versus Seguin. He lost it. Dallas takes the puck. They go down the ice. Icing. They went for it. That's not the most intelligent play. Coach is not going to be happy on that one. You got some time. You got some space. You got the puck. And you're trying to score into an empty net but 180 feet away. You missed the net. Now it's another offensive zone faceoff for the Canadiens. With Dvorak taking the draw, it's on the left-hand side. Suzuki's on the wall. Doc's on the right. Caulfield's in behind them. Caden Gooley and Mike Hoffman. Remember when they lost the game a couple of weeks ago and they had their 6 players, they had all 6 forwards on the ice? Well, Caden Gooley's on the ice now. They got a defenseman on the ice. Gooley to Caulfield. Caulfield to Suzuki. Back to Caulfield. Back to Suzuki. Pressured by the Stars. They've retrieved the puck. They're trying to get it out. Dvorak's in. Stars got it. They go down ice again, and again, they miss the net. Icing is called, and the Canadiens will have another offensive zone faceoff with 38.7 seconds left in regulation, with Dallas hanging on to a 3-2 lead. It's the closest I've ever come to play-by-play in my life. I would have liked to have one opportunity to do play-by-play. One, just one, but I was only at the same spot for 20 years. I would have loved the opportunity to do color for one Montreal Canadiens play game. One, just, but it was a little short of time. I was only there for almost 20 years. Marty St. Louis and Alex Burrows have called everyone over. Alex Burrows is going to design a play. That's Ali Nesreddine. Ali Nesreddine is designing plays for the Dallas Stars, telling them what they got to do. And Alex Burrows has pulled out the board for the Canadiens under the watchful eye of Marty St. Louis and Trevor Letowski. All right. Tony is drawing get a contract next year if his production continues along these lines. He won't with the Canadiens. And if anyone in the National Hockey League gives him a contract, it'll be less than $1 million in a 1-year deal. Anything more would shock me. But his last contract, this one here, is 6 years, $33 million. I mean, it's safe to say that he's okay for the rest of his life. Again, the Stars go down ice, going for the open net, and they miss the net again, and it's icing again. I mean, you're not supposed to do this when you have an empty net. Like always trying to shoot the puck in the empty net. Just bank it off the damn boards, man. It's not rocket science. Either you bank it off the boards or you lob it in the air. By the time the other team picks it up and they actually gain the offensive zone, you still take another 10 seconds off the clock. And you don't have to give up an offensive zone faceoff. Mind you, no harm, no foul. Canadiens are back in their zone. Dallas forechecking. 18 seconds left. And there you have it. They finally hit the empty net. All right. Whew. It's done. Is it Kiviranta? It's Kiviranta. 4-2 Dallas. 4-2 Dallas. If you want to give me a call, 1-888-585-7425, 1-888-585-SICK. Marty St. Louis is looking at it. Is he looking at anything here in particular? No? Is there anything you could be looking at? No, we're good. Goal stands. Jake Allen's back in his goal. And they're going to make the time get off the clock here. That's it. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's over. Dallas Stars win by a score of 4-2. This game is over. If you want to give me a call, 1-888-585-7425. Without further ado, though, let's get to my guy, because I want to talk more than just Montreal Canadiens hockey, because we had a great discussion yesterday with Stu Cowan about Montreal sports in general. And I bring in the guy who I tell you right now, in my opinion, is the best, not only in the city, but in the province, at what he does and the way he does it. I'm talking about reporting. I'm talking about his coverage of CF Montreal with his podcast, IMFC Radio. I'm talking about the stories that he writes for 98.5. This guy's the best. One of my best friends, if not my best friend in the industry. Is he there? Let's bring him on. Jeremy, how are you?
Thank you for the introduction, Tony. Very much appreciated. Very nice.
You're very welcome.
My friend.
Well, you know everything I said is true.
Yeah, we're pretty good friends. We talk almost every day about the business, about what's going on in sports media. So we share a lot of the same passions. So yeah, it's going to be fun to exchange with you for the first time in a real long time.
Yeah, and you know what? We had to go through your agent to make this happen. We've been going back and forth now for about 3 months, and finally we're able to come down to an agreement, which is good. No, that's a joke. We're looking for the right time, and it looks like we got it.
Yeah.
You know, yesterday I had Stu on, and Stu and I, we had different opinions, which was great that we had different opinions. But you know, I was of the opinion, long story short, that we talk too much about the Montreal Canadiens in Montreal. And you know what? God love them. I love them. And they're a reason why we do what we do for a living as well. And we put food on the table because of them. But if we keep neglecting the other teams or not giving them as much coverage as I think they deserve or that we should give, well, what's going to happen is if we end up losing those teams, well, you know, Montreal's not going to be a very interesting sports town if it's going to have just one team and you listen and hear and watch Canadians 24/7, 365 days a year. My opinion, I think I know where you stand on that, but tell me what you think.
Well, listen, I mean, the reality is in other markets, you know, when sports editors look at this situation and say, all right, for example, in Toronto, let's say the Maple Leafs are having a bad year. They're going into trade deadline. So the sports editors are going to say, okay, let's take a guy off the Leafs because the Leafs are not going anywhere. That story is going to start dying down. Let's put one extra guy on the Blue Jays or the Raptors. That's what they do in normal cities. When teams are having a bad year, they sort of let them be and pick up the pieces in the summer or the following year, and they focus on the other teams that are doing well or whose seasons are starting and the stories are better. Here, we don't have that. Here, it's Habs all the time. They suck. We talk about them. They're mediocre. We talk about them. They're good. We talk about them. But that's all we have. And you reach a point where there's not much to say. And I think right now, media in Montreal are really suffering. Ratings are suffering on the radio, everywhere on television. Why? Because everybody's talking about the same subject all the time. And at some point, as they say in French, trop c'est comme pas assez, right? If I talk about something too much, you reach a point where you're like, do you have anything else to say? Is there anything else going on in the world? So that's why, my stance is when I'm on the radio, I try to give some to CF Montreal. I try to give some airtime to the Alouettes, try to give some airtime to our local athletes, whether it be Félix Auger-Aliassime or anybody else. But I try to spread the love because at a certain point,
boxing's big here. Boxing's big here, of course.
But you know what? A lot of the sports have lost a lot of popularity here, Tony, over the last 20 years. If I go back late 90s when I started, we used to be able to put a show together and say, all right, let's start with the Habs. Habs played last night. Next topic, we're going to go to the Expos. Guerrero hit 2 home runs yesterday. Yeah. Next topic, we're going to go to the Alouettes. Calvillo, Cahoon, another sold-out crowd at the Percival Molson Stadium. People were following it. Next subject, we're going to talk about AC Milan. They're in town. They're playing a friendly against the Impact Olympic Stadium at 50,000 people. Next subject, we're going to talk about Lucien Boutet, Jean-Pascal. The Bell Center is full. Everybody was there. Everybody was paying attention. Everybody wanted to know what was going on. And then we'd go to Jacques Villeneuve and Schumacher. Did you watch the race yesterday? I watched the race. You see what happened there on that turn? Nowadays, nobody's talking about anything.
No, Jeremy, and you're right about that, because you know what? In the last week, there were a couple of our pro boxers here that were fighting. Some were fighting in Shawinigan, and Christian and Billy was fighting in France. And it got very, very little talk compared to what it used to get here.
Exactly.
Years ago. And, you go back to Davey Hilton, you go back to Stéphane Ouellette, but even, like you said, Lucien Boutet and Jean-Pascal of about 5 or 6 years ago, the boxing talk's not getting that much talk either as well. And Montreal, the reason why I said what I said yesterday with Stu, and the reason why I have you on as well, and I want to talk about a lot of these things, I want to try, and I know you want to do the same thing, to issue a huge wake-up call here to all our friends in the media and try and salvage sports in this city, in this province. Sports in this city, in this province right now is at an all-time low. It's at an all-time low. and I'm not gonna be shy to say this. I've been in the business for 20 years. You've been in the business longer than I have, okay? There's a lot of people in the media right now who are lazy. And they've been lazy for several years. And they've done, Montrealers and sports fans a huge disservice here, okay? Their laziness has done Montrealers a huge disservice. You can tell that they're only watching Canadiens. Even at that, they don't always watch the whole game. You can tell that as well. You can tell they're not watching boxing. You can tell they're not watching every Alouettes game. You can tell they don't watch CF Montreal. And then after they say what they say about, the Habs for the 10th time, and they say the same thing, but over and over again, but 10 different ways, right? Because now they're winging it. Then they revert to talking about sandwiches and mustard and ketchup and relish and
listen.
Is it true? Yes or no? What I'm saying?
Of course, it's true. But you know what? I think the bosses have really the big responsibility, because when the Expos left, something happened. A phenomenon happened here where summer became the sports media off season. In Toronto, the Blue Jays are going all summer long. People are following Toronto FC. It never stops. You watch Sportsnet or TSN, and it just keeps rolling. They don't stop in the summer. This is the only place where we shut it down and we say, all right, everybody go on vacation. Everybody take some time off. We'll talk to you guys again in September. So the mindset is, I don't have to follow anything that happens in the summer, because we're not going to be on the air. We're not going to have Le 5 à 7. We're not going to have L'Antichambre. We're not going to have GC on those in the summer. So I don't have to follow anything that happens in the summer. That's our break period. And that's what's unfortunate, is we've fallen into this rut. We've fallen into this routine. I had breakfast with a very influential person this Wednesday morning. I'm not going to mention him, but when I talked to him about, how the commissioners of the various leagues in North America see Quebec, they now see us as it's a market that, there's not much going on. There's no political will to get sports off their feet and going. There's no business will to invest into sports. Montreal is a city of over 4 million people, and the second city behind us that does not have a Major League Baseball franchise has only 2.3 million people. Do you understand? There's almost a 2 million population, 2 million people less in the second season city in North America that doesn't have baseball. It's embarrassing. It's humiliating for us. And what he said is they just don't look at us as a market that's thriving for sports. And I tell you one thing right now, we may hate Joey Saputo, but if he puts that team for sale, Don Garber, the first thing he's going to say is, whoa. You want to put the team for sale? Hold on a second. I got a few markets in the States that are willing to pay double what the market value is in Montreal, whether it be Vegas, Phoenix, whether it be San Diego, whether it be Tampa Bay, it would be so much easier. And I tell you one thing.
But
Don
who
Garber,
are you talking about when you say we may hate? Who hates Joey Saputo?
well,
if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have soccer in the city.
no, you're right. I mean, we can criticize the way that he manages and runs his team. That's
Can I
for
tell
sure.
you? Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
You know what I think would help coverage of CF Montreal?
What's that?
If Joey Saputo would go back to talking a little bit more.
Probably. You know, because what I
believe-
say is, if you want to be a George Steinbrenner, you want to be a Jerry Jones, fine. But come out in the media and talk. Because now you're part of the narrative. You understand what I'm saying? Don't send Gervais and Olivier Renard to the podium to answer questions they can't answer. But I agree with you. If he wants to be part of the narrative, all of a sudden, we're going to have more stories. That's for sure.
When Joey Saputo used to talk to the media, the shows were talking about it because Joey, as they say in French, he's a, or in English we can say it, he's a presence, right? He's a presence. Saputo's a presence. C'est un homme de prestance, as they say in French, right? When he talked, people listened, and you would have the shows talking about it all the time. If he doesn't talk, you're missing that now. So you know what? I miss when he was talking. I want him to come back. I want him to talk, whether you agree with him, whether you don't agree with him, whether you agree with the philosophy they have for their team right now, whether you don't agree with the philosophy. I would love for him to come back and talk.
Listen, I listened to Stu Cowan yesterday, and there are certain things I agree with him, certain things I don't agree with him. The first thing where he's right is that media outlets in Quebec have really cut into their budget for when it comes to sports. The same thing at 98.5. So what happens is you, instead of having 5 or 6 reporters, all of a sudden you only have 2 or 3, and you got to pick, where do I send these reporters? And I understand that it's tougher right now because you just don't have the budgets. But at the same time, when a franchise or a team struggles, your job as a media outlet is not to stop following them. Your job as a media outlet is to report the fact that it's not going well right now. That's your job. You understand? So if every media outlet in North America would give up on teams that haven't had success, certain teams would have been gone a long time ago. So it's part of the narrative, and I think we still have a responsibility as media outlets to cover teams that struggle. But our job is to tell the facts, the fact that the team is struggling and why they're struggling. Explain it to people.
I think it's I don't know how to say this. You want me to just come on and say?
Yeah.
The fact that we're not going to host any World Cup games, are we really a loser city like this?
We are.
Or what? Are we a loser city? The World Cup, we just watched it, all right? The World Cup in Qatar was absolutely fantastic with some of the biggest stars in the world. Yeah. Soccer, whether you like it or not, is the one sport that can bring out emotions more so than any other sport in the world. People know it. Some people just don't want to admit it. But the emotions in Buenos Aires, you saw 1 million people in the streets of Buenos Aires following the penalty kicks right away, immediately, and stuff like that. The passion they have for that game obviously is not a passion that we have here in Canada. But the reason why I continue to talk about it is because we have to grow it. And Stu says, well, you can't force it down people's throats. And I understand and I respect his opinion. Really, I do. But if we're going to say, well, you can't force it down people's throats, and we're going to stop talking about it, it's going to be hockey all the time again. And we're going to talk about the Canadiens' fourth line all the time again. What are we doing not hosting World Cup games, Jeremy? We're not. Toronto's in. Vancouver's in.
Yeah.
Vancouver's
in because we pulled out.
Correct.
Vancouver stated publicly, when they started hearing rumors that Montreal was going to pull out, they said, hey, if you guys pull out, we want your spot, by the way. So maybe they're understanding something that we're not understanding. A little parenthesis here. I'm going to open up.
If I can add, when you say Vancouver, I don't know this for a fact, but I wouldn't be surprised if Victor Montagliani, who's the vice president of FIFA and the president of CONCACAF, who lives in Vancouver, once he saw Montreal pull out, whispered in someone very influential's ear and part of, BC government said, hey, you're going to regret this if you don't go in because this is huge. And, I heard that if Montreal was going to host 3 games, and by the way, all the numbers that you're hearing right now and you're seeing and you're reading in the newspapers, making all Quebecers believe that it would have been the most terrible investment ever. And it was supposed to be 6 games, and then it became 3 games, and it's an investment of over $300 million, and it's only going to bring in $100 million. I've been told that 3 games would have brought in revenues of up to $700 million in terms of tourism in the province of Quebec. Okay. And I have that on good authority,
Tony.
But it just seems like people are writing.
Honestly, even if it's a break even situation, even if it's a situation where you're losing a couple of $1 million, the exposure you get is massive. Plus, you've already given the green light for work to be done at Olympic Stadium. It's happening right now as we speak. And then the whole point of this was to get to the World Cup. And now you're going to do all this work and you're going to get to the World Cup and you're not going to have any World Cup games to show. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It's completely retarded. And the reality is, I mean, if it was hockey, you know, everybody would have found a way to get this done. But because it's soccer,
nobody would have talked about the fact that it would have cost this much, or they only would have brought in that much, or it was math. If it was hockey, it was done. We don't have, as a province, soccer in our blood here for the most part. We don't care about it. It's hockey all the time.
Listen, we have a very woke mentality in Quebec. And the reality here is that for any politician to go out and support anything that has to do with sports means supporting a white, privileged, rich man. And that is not cool. And that is not popular in our society today. I'll give you a perfect example. Joey Saputo is willing to put in $100 million in a stadium that doesn't belong to him, which he will then give back to the city. And all he's asking is, don't increase my taxes. It's as if you have a tenant who says, you know what, I'm going to redo the kitchen in this apartment. I'm going to put $25,000. The only thing I'm asking you is don't increase my rent. But you tell him, yeah, but we're going to increase it. Valérie Plante is not willing to negotiate. This would be the easiest thing to explain to people. The guy is putting $100 million in an infrastructure that will belong to you, the people, the city. But she still won't go there because she knows that from the outside, people are going to say she's supporting a white, privileged, rich man. And that's going to be the title in La Presse when she gives the okay for that to happen. And that's the reason why we can't get anything happening in the world of sports in this province, and we're basically stagnant. That's the reality. So we have to wake up.
Don't worry about it though. Don't worry about it though, because when the World Cup happens in 2026, right?
Yep.
Instead of actually hosting the games, we're going to be in some bars. Okay, we're going to have to show up with our bikes because all the streets are now closed and you can't park anymore, right? So we're all going to go on our bikes. We're either going to park our bikes and maybe lock them up next to the meters and stuff like that, or we're just going to have our walkie-talkie. We're going to have our headset on or whatever. We're going to bike around the whole city because it's bikes, and nothing about sport. And once again, it's that. It would have been hockey. We're in. It's soccer. Nobody cares. It's a great sport. No, it's not a great sport.
But listen,
let's talk about what car the Canadiens coach drives in the month of August instead.
Yeah, you know, I mean, listen, I've heard so many ridiculous stories on the Habs this year, and I've spoken to some of the reporters that are on the beat every day, and they're like, you know what? I got to come up with a story every day. I don't have a choice. So, yeah, that's the story I came up with that day. It's not a good story, but what the heck? We got to talk about something. You know, like Stu was saying, you can't force things down people's throats. I'm gonna give you another example. For years and years and years at 98.5, we used to broadcast the boxing. Well, Jean-Pascal, Lucien Boutte, whatever fight was happening, we would broadcast those fights. All right. So we know the interest for boxing. It's minimal. You know, you got some fans that are really into it. Then you got some fans that really hop on the week of. So what would we do? We would give a buildup. Monday, Tuesday, we would talk about it at the press conference. They told each other off, and then they went to the weigh-in, and one guy couldn't make weight and had to go back and dehydrate and this and that. And then we get to the Saturday night, and then you got it, you know, Joe Blows asking themselves, wow, I wonder if Jean-Pascal is winning that fight. Let me tune in. So what I'm saying
Jeremy,
is,
if I can, I'll take it a step further. Back in the day, one of the best boxing promoters was Régis Lévesque. And as you know, Régis, He used to make stuff up that wasn't even true. He would whisper in people's ears that, one of his boxers was going to end up fighting Mike Tyson, or was going to end up fighting Roy Jones, or was going to end up fighting De La Hoya. The fight never happened. But guess what? On sports radio for the next couple of days, they were talking about the possibility of a fight that was never going to happen.
Yeah. Well,
because he BS'd them. Brilliant.
That's maybe a little bit exaggerated, but what I'm saying is this.
It worked.
All sports are beautiful when you have a story to tell. It doesn't matter if the object is a puck or a ball or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. If the stories are told properly, people will be interested. No matter, do you know how many messages I get from people every single day telling me, you know what, Jeremy? I never used to follow soccer before, but I listen to you on the radio. I listen to your podcast. I follow you on social media, and I started developing an interest for soccer. So what I'm saying is it's the chicken and the egg. Yeah, it's the chicken and the egg. I give you hockey, so all you know is hockey, so all you want to hear about is hockey. But if I present you something else and I make it interesting, maybe you're going to say, that's pretty interesting. Stu yesterday said, if we print a story on CF Montreal, how many people are actually reading it? Okay, I'm going to give you another story. I'm at 98.5. We lost the broadcasting rights to the games a couple of years ago, 2 years ago. Do you know why 98.5 still allow me to write about CF Montreal day in and day out? Because people click. Why do they click? Because I've been following this team for 17 years, and I got 30,000 people on Twitter following me only because I follow this team. So those 30,000 generate clicks on the website, and people click and click and click. So if you do have a person that's devoted to the product, devoted to the sport, devoted to the team, he has followers, you will get those clicks. But
correct.
If you
and
don't,
if I can, Jeremy,
and you
some
go
of the
once
articles,
in a while, you're not going to get that readership.
So you write on CF Montreal, you write on the Montreal Canadiens, you write on the Alouettes, you write sports articles, period. All right.
Yeah.
You've written articles regarding CF Montreal that have been viewed more times than articles that you wrote about the Canadiens, correct?
Of course.
It's happened. Now, for the most part, we know it's the Canadiens you can't miss. We understand that. But people are going to read your articles because you've become a reference when it comes to CF Montreal and the reporting that you do behind it. The ones who are saying that they're not getting a lot of, so for example, the Montreal Gazette's coverage, okay, this is not to throw anyone under the bus, all right? But the Montreal Gazette's coverage of CF Montreal is not the same as your coverage at 98.5 of CF Montreal or your coverage at IMC Radio. So they're probably not going to have that many clicks, and they're probably not going to have that many views because they're not known as much a reference. And that's what it is. That's what I think it is. That's what it is.
That's what it is. If you have competent people there and they've been working there for a while and they've built up a viewership and they've built up a certain amount of followers on social media, well, there's your clicks. That's how you generate traffic on your website. As I mentioned, I mean, I don't want to take anything away from the guys at the Gazette, but the reality is none of them have the contacts I have, and none of them will have the scoops that I have, and none of them will have the insider information that I have. And that's what the followers want. That's what they want to read. They want to read exclusive stories of people that have inside information. And the reality is there's nobody at the Gazette doing that right now.
The Gazette does have great Montreal Alouettes coverage, if I can, though.
Of course, and there you go. And you know what? I'll tell you one thing. The Montreal Alouettes may not be very popular, but I'm sure Herb Zurkowski still generates very good clicks on his articles because he's been there for years. People trust him, and they know he's got the truth. So they will go in, and that's why they allow Herb to continue covering the Alouettes the way he does, because it works for them.
You talked about the fact, your followers. I wish I had more, but I mean, I got close to 72,000 followers on Twitter. Why do I have 72,000 followers? Because people know that I have, I talk Canadiens, I talk Alouettes, I talk CF Montreal, I talk boxing, I talk amateur sports, I talk Montreal sports, and people know that I have an opinion. And I'm not scared to say it, and I'm not scared to tweet it. But you're going to have those who just talk about the Canadiens, won't talk about CF Montreal, won't talk about the Alouettes, won't talk about boxing, won't talk about amateur sports. And they're not going to have that much because people are going to say, well, I can only get one thing from this person. It's just Montreal would be such a better sports city if the distribution of airtime, radio, and television was more balanced
Absolutely.
than it actually is right now.
Absolutely.
It's right now, it's like 80% Canadians. And sometimes and Raymond's laughing because even on the chat right now on YouTube, everyone's talking about the Canadiens right now as we speak. But if I'm a program director, I'm saying, guys, it can't be 80%. Now, if the Canadiens play and something huge happens and the other sports teams didn't play or they're not in season, no problem. Do your shows, talk Canadiens for most of it, if not even all of it. But if they're all three playing at the same time, during the seasons where they overlap, right? The Alouettes, the CF Montreal's playing on a Saturday. The Canadiens are playing on a Saturday. The Alouettes are playing on a Sunday. There's three sports teams that are playing. Sometimes maybe even the Alliance probably play on a Friday night or whatever, or maybe there could be there could be so many things, but yet you listen and you watch and you would think the only thing that was being played was the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it's a huge mistake, and I think certain stations need to look at themselves in the mirror and say, what are we doing wrong here? And to be honest, I think what people want, listeners, are good stories. When you're talking about who's going to be in the lineup, Pezzetta or Evans or whatever, I don't think that's a good storyline. I don't think you can go very far with that storyline. So what I'm saying is sports is like a soap opera. Every team has their story. So when I look at CF Montreal, there's probably too much drama because there's too much going on with coaches leaving and going and Joey Saputo getting involved. But that's amazing for a hot stove. If we were a soccer city here, Tony, the stories we'd have, it would be, we would be like on Émission Spéciale 24 hours a day.
Could you imagine what happened to CF Montreal, would have happened to the Montreal Canadiens, and that they would have been having a very, very good season. All of a sudden, after one loss versus the worst team in the league, there's a situation, owner and coach and this and that, and then the coach says...
We'd be going nuts.
The coach wants to resign. They have to have a caucus. The president has to meet with the coach. The sporting director has to meet with the coach. The players have to meet with the coach. They have to rally behind the coach. They have to convince him to stay on and finish the season. He says, I'm going to do it on one condition. You're not going to exercise my option. Then during that time, he's actually talking to his agent, who's talking to other teams, reportedly or maybe, or allegedly, to the point where maybe he even visited their training ground, took some of the assistants with him, right? And could you imagine if this would have happened to the hockey team?
Listen,
Tony, we had a little bit of talk
behind
it, but yeah.
The storylines with CF Montreal are endless. Endless. The possibilities, the tangents are endless. Why? Because that's the way the team is run, and that's the way things go. The storylines are plentiful. With the Habs, there aren't that many storylines. Players don't really say much. The organization doesn't really say much. So the only thing we're left to talk about is the actual game. And some people are interested in listening to people talk about breaking down a game. Some people are not so interested in that. So what I'm saying is, sports is a soap opera. Give me the story. What's the story? And I think any Tom, Dick, and Harry out there who doesn't follow soccer, doesn't know anything about soccer, can still understand the fact that the coach and the owner got into a fight, and now the coach wants to leave, and now you got another team coming into the picture trying to draw him away from. That's all stuff that any day, any Joe Blow can understand. You can talk about this on the radio. You're not going to lose anybody. You understand what I'm saying? So,
Jeremy, right now,
il y a de la viande autour de l'os.
Let's talk about this viande right now. The Alouette story It's a bigger story than the Montreal Canadiens. The Canadiens, they play, they win, they lose, they pick up a point, they lose a game.
Who cares?
The power play doesn't work. The penalty kill doesn't work. You know that they're going to tank this, that, but we're nowhere close to the trade deadline yet.
It's going to be a mediocre season from A to Z with a few little bumps. That's it.
Okay, perfect. Okay. And Suzuki picks up points and Caulfield scores goals. It's great. What happened with the Alouettes? The Alouettes had a president who came in, fought, battled adversity, of course, with COVID for the past couple of years in the CFL, right? Very, very difficult circumstance for him, for the entire team. He raised sponsorship. He got the business community involved again, raised fan engagement. He got people into the Alouettes. He hired the right coach or the right GM. They increased ticket sales by a lot. They made Percival Molson a fun place to go again. Things were going well, but, one of the owners who isn't exactly, on the same page with the president or the GM, because he's probably a little bit too outlandish for their liking, goes on Twitter, is engaging in conversations. The owner of the team is engaging in conversations with the fans, saying that they're going to kick Toronto's ass and this and that, whatever, and then they lose, and then they're going to do this, and then they're going to do that, and then he's trying to get a hold of the mayor. He's trying to get a hold of Yvan Cournoyer on social media. The whole thing is a circus and this and that and whatever and all that stuff. Well,
again,
then the owner dies. The owner dies, right? And the team is left to the estate. And the other owner is part of the estate. They don't exactly agree. Now they fight. This is a huge story.
And the storylines write themselves. I mean, this is a soap opera with twists and turns. You understand what I'm saying?
And this co-owner said that the president, Mario Cecchini, they said they separated because they mutually agreed to separate. Mario Cecchini,
he didn't want to leave.
He takes to Twitter and he says, I'm not quitting in the middle of a football game, right? He denied that it was mutually agreed upon.
It was not mutual.
He's looking for a co-owner, right? Behind the scenes, there's a bunch of people that are hoping that he actually sells and the estate sells and someone else buys the team. The storylines are amazing. But no, let's not devote a lot of time to them. Let's not devote a lot of time to CF Montreal, who just hired a coach and his hiring was not unanimous and this and that. Let's devote it all to, the game, the stats, the fourth line.
What's frustrating is we know what this season is going to be for the Habs. It's going to be a season where they're going to play. They're not going to be very good. They're going to be mediocre. We're going to keep an eye on the kids. That's the only thing that's semi-interesting, is to see how these young guys develop. But they're going to be, there's going to be little ups and downs. And at the end of the day, they're going to miss the playoffs. They'll pick somewhere between 7th and 12th or 13th in the draft. But aside from that, there's nothing else happening. Yet we know it's going to be un long fleuve tranquille. So there's not much to say. And why it's hurting ratings is there's not much to say, but we keep spinning air. We're spinning air, but there's nothing happening there. And that's why a lot of stations are struggling right now. Stations are struggling. We're struggling to get people to continue being interested in sports. You got to go where the story is. What's the story? What's interesting? What has meat around the bone? And let me take a bite of that meat. And I'll guarantee you one thing, Tony. You put me on the air, you give me the good story, and I'll get you people to listen and say, you know what? I had fun listening to that tonight. That was very interesting what these guys were talking about.
Yeah, but Insta Customs on YouTube Live says Montreal's not a minor league sports city. It's that the CFL and the MLS are minor leagues, and that's why we pass. I don't buy that. That's an excuse. I don't buy that. Listen,
that we have to face the fact of the fact that the NHL is the highest hockey league in the world. The MLS is not. And the CFL is not. But I'm going to give you an example. The MLS has been growing year in and year out. If we support this product, in 10 years, the MLS may be and will be in the top 10 leagues in the world. But if we decide, we're not going to pay attention until, they become one of the best leagues in the world, chances are this team's going to be gone.
Jeremy, you know that the numbers for the MLS in the United States are higher than that of hockey.
Of course. Of course. So, yeah, it's not the highest pool of talent. I agree. But, you look at it. I'm going to give you an example of Quebec City. Quebec City does not have one major league franchise. Okay. But if you go to Quebec City and you sit down in a Dunkin' Donuts and there's a newspaper there and you open up the newspaper, you got 2 pages on the Ramparts. You got 2 pages on le Rouge et Or. You got 2 pages on Michel Laplante and the Capitals, and they follow their teams. They support their teams, and they're not major league teams, but it doesn't matter. These are the teams that they have, and they cover them properly. I guarantee you, Le Journal de Québec covers their sports properly, and that's why the CPL wants to go there. That's why the CPL is looking to Quebec and saying, if we go there, we believe that they'll give us the media coverage we deserve, and people will come out, will start following the team, and we will get fans to show up for games, and which they won't get here.
You're right. And look, you know what? I think we said what we had to say. Yeah. But, I think members of the media have a responsibility. And I understand that at the end of the day, they can all talk about what they want to talk about. And I'm not their program director and I'm not their boss. But I say, for the love of our city, for the love of Montreal, sports in Montreal, sports fans in Montreal, and sports teams in Montreal, if when you're not talking about the Canadiens, you're going to end up talking about college football and college basketball instead of talking about CF Montreal and the Montreal Alouettes. Are we kidding here or what? Now, if that college basketball team features a kid from the province of Quebec, no problem. If that college football team features a kid from the province of Quebec, no problem at all. But at the same time, it makes absolutely no sense to dedicate time to college football and college basketball in Montreal if you're not going to dedicate time to CF Montreal and the Alouettes.
Especially, Tony, if you have the broadcasting rights to those games, because the whole point is to make money, and these stations are not making money. So if I can generate interest, for example, for CF Montreal, because this week is a big game and something happened, there's a rivalry, the coach scrapped it out, whatever. If I can get more people on Saturday to tune in and listen to my game, and my ratings get higher, I can ask for more sponsorship money from my clients, and that's how you go ahead. I could talk about the Blue Devils and the 8-pack and whatever NCAA till I'm blue in the face. I can't make money with that product. I can't. I don't own that product. I could talk about it till I'm blue in the face. That's all good for them. I'm going to be pumping their tires. But I'm not making any money here. I'm killing myself. I'm shooting myself in the foot. So if you have a product and you're airing it, try to talk about it and to get people enthusiastic about it. And if you get your ratings up, then all of a sudden, everybody's happy. The bosses are happy. Employees are happy. And the listeners are happy.
Hey, this is what I want to do. I want to get to a call. Is that okay with you? I know you've been going on for a while here. Okay, let's get to a call.
You called. Presented by Playground.
Brought to you by Playground, your premier gaming destination located just over the Mercier Bridge, only minutes from downtown Montreal. It's You Called. Where are we going exactly? All right, we are going to, as I'm waiting to find out who we're going to here.
It's Peter from Montreal.
Hey, Peter, how are you?
Actually, the last time we spoke, Tony, was about a decade ago, and we used to have some wonderful conversations about World Cup soccer, and you were the most knowledgeable person in the city, and it was always a pleasure to listen to you.
Thank you. Nothing's changed in the last 10 years, by the way.
Tony, I just want to wish you and your family a wonderful Christmas. All the best to your children. I know,
Thank you.
Your son's is playing in Spain, and I know your other son is just a clinical finisher. I've seen his videos, and I've seen him. He's just a wonderful goal scorer. And
thank you. I appreciate that. My son is back from Spain right now, and we'll see where he's going to be in 2023. That's my eldest. And I'm very, very, very proud of Marco. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a proud father, and every chance I have to talk about them or to say how proud I am, I will. And I can tell you that Marco was one of the top goal scorers in the country this year, and that makes me very, very proud for any amateur player age 16 and up, even going up to whatever age. And he's a 17-year-old. And I can also tell you that he signed on with the same agent as Alphonso Davies, and it looks like Marco is going to be headed to Europe on trial in January, and so it's a fun time. It's a really fun time. Thank you,
Tony. I want to make 3 quick points, and I want to touch on something that Jeremy spoke on tonight. Firstly, I just want to.
By the way, is he a great guest or what?
He was fantastic, and I got to be honest with you. I was trying to call during the World Cup of Soccer to talk on what had happened with the comments from our head coach, because nobody touched upon it. And I guess a lot of journalists are fearful of talking about soccer because they think that people are going to tune off. The truth of the matter was, this was a subject that needed to be discussed. But I just want to touch on people saying that the MLS is a minor league league. The truth of the matter is, Lionel Messi is joining Inter Miami next year. If you have a chance.
Not necessarily, no. It looks like he's going to be staying with Paris Saint-Germain for at least a year. It's possible that after that year, that he does join Inter Miami.
He's considering it. He's considering it.
Yes. I think he will join Inter Miami at one point, but for at least the next year and a half here, he's going to be with Paris Saint-Germain. But please continue. Go ahead.
David Beckham has, and I don't think, I'm pretty sure he's trying to sell tickets, but the truth of the matter, he's come out and he said that Messi will finish the season in 2023 with PSG, but next year he is joining Inter Miami. Now, whether it's a year or 2 years, you have Lionel Messi, who just won the World Cup of Soccer, joining Inter Miami. That will most likely just elevate this league to the next level. Just coming and seeing a World Cup superstar is just mind-blowing. I don't know who wouldn't want to tune in and see Lionel Messi playing in this league.
I saw images a couple of days ago at Times Square in New York. Argentina fans gathering in Times Square, celebrating Argentina's World Cup win. The same thing in Miami, celebrating Argentina's win. Soccer and the MLS, and of course, even the big names, it's becoming huge in the United States. It's becoming huge. And Jeremy said what Jeremy, you're right what you said before. Say what you want about Joey Saputo. Thank God he's the owner of this team, because if he decides not to be the owner of this team will be sold to American interests right away, and they'll move this team to the States. And I don't want that to happen. I know neither do you.
And you know what? If you look at the stadiums that are being built in the States right now for these franchises that we have, a lot of teams in Europe don't have these types of facilities, my friend. This is where we're going. We're building stadiums that are costing $600, $700, $800 million. Players are going to come here. You're going to say, what? This is a stadium you're playing in? These are the facilities you're playing in? Trust me, there are a lot of countries in Europe that are not going to be able to follow this trend. And MLS is going to keep growing. And if we want to be on board when the MLS is reaching that goal, well, we better be supporting it right now, because otherwise we're going to lose it, and Jeremy, we're going to regret it forever.
Jeremy, the stars are going to keep coming because they can have a private life here. They can have a life where they can walk the streets and they won't get stopped. Everyone, Alessandro Del Piero is one of the greatest players to ever play the game. All right, legendary number 10 with Juventus, right? Part of that Italy team that won the World Cup in 2006. You know where Alessandro Del Piero lives? You know
where does he live full time? I don't know.
He lives in Los Angeles. You know what he does in Los Angeles? He's got an Italian restaurant. It's called Number 10. Look it up on Instagram. It's fantastic.
Interesting. No, very good.
He does. Yeah, and he coaches his daughter and he coaches his son. And they play for the Juventus Academy in Los Angeles.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. What I'm saying is, listen, okay, this is just the beginning, what you're living right now. CF Montreal sent 6 players to the World Cup. No other MLS team sent as many players. We are now entering the sphere of world soccer, because before the world soccer was here and CF Montreal was down here, and we were not really able to link both. Now we're able to do that. Our players are going to play in the biggest teams in Europe. Our players are going to play in the biggest stage, which is the World Cup. They are facing the best players in the world. We are finally getting our soccer here in Montreal into the global sphere of soccer. You don't want to miss out on what's coming in the next 4, 5, 10 years. So get on board now.
Jeremy, I took way advantage of your time tonight. I kind
My
of feel bad
guests are
about
going
it.
to kill me.
December
My guests are
23rd.
going to kill me.
Your guests are going to kill you, and your wife's
Yeah.
going to end up killing you too.
Yes.
Thanks for doing
Okay.
this, Jeremy. Thanks. Okay.
We'll
Merry
talk soon.
Christmas. Hey, buddy, I
Okay,
love
you
you.
too. Ciao, ciao.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye. All right. There you have it. Jeremy Filosa. And so I've been wanting to work with Jeremy for a while, and we're able to make it happen. And do we still have Peter? Is Peter still there? No, we lost Peter. Thanks for calling, Peter. And that was it. That's Jeremy Filosa, folks, of 98.5 FM and IMFC Radio. Subscribe if you're a big fan of CF Montreal. The coverage they have on IMFC Radio, it's absolutely unbelievable coverage. Become a patron, look it up, and become a patron and subscribe to it. It's absolutely fantastic. Jeremy truly is a sick guest. You are my sick army. You are a sick crowd. If you like the podcast tonight, hit the like button, share it with your friends, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it on YouTube. Use the link, share it with everyone, and send us comments. Hit write sick, S-I-C-K, to show your appreciation. And if you're going to listen to us on Google, Apple, or Spotify, leave us a 5-star review. We very, very much appreciate it. All right. I hope you're ready for Christmas. I am. I went to Pukedolci earlier today, and I'm ready. I picked up my tiramisu cake, which is made in Italy. Pukedolci, importers of fantastic products from Italy. Picked up an amaretto cake, picked up tartufos, picked up ice cream cakes from Samontana. They carry the very famous Martinucci cakes, and you can check them out, of course. Pukedolci.com is their website. And if you want to give them a call, 450-969-5977, you're actually going to have to save the number because they're going to be closed for the next couple of days. But I wanted to give them a shout out, and I wanted to say thanks to them because I absolutely love their products and all the products that they have. Agnello and Sammy, I want to bring you in, guys. We got them?
Yep, we're here.
There we go. All right. Okay. That's it for tonight.
That's it for tonight.
It's the last one before Christmas. I know I want to wish our sick army and everyone a very Merry Christmas. Enjoy your friends. Enjoy your family. Enjoy your loved ones. Life is short. Tell people you love them the way I told Jeremy that I love him just now. And Agnello and Sammy, I love you too. Thank you for this beautiful opportunity you gave me 2 years ago. We're growing it every day. And 2 years later, we've made it. We've grown it.
We're getting there.
And I know you and I talked about what we want to do next with the podcast. We want to take it to another level. And we want to expand our network. I'll leave it at that. And we have no shortage of talent. And we have some hungry people that we surround ourselves with. And we're going to have a lot of fun with this, man. So you're going to be at your place, I guess, in Yellow for Christmas?
One of my mother's tomorrow, and I'll be at my place for Christmas, yes.
Your mother's tomorrow and your place for Christmas. All right.
Well, me and Sam would like to thank everybody for their support and wish everybody a great Christmas. Stay safe. The weather's crazy out there, so please stay safe.
You're right about that. Sammy.
Yeah.
Tell them who I am. Who am I?
Hold on.
Who am I, Sammy?
You're Marinaro.
I'm Marinaro. Merry Christmas, Sammy. I love you, buddy. Sammy Cavallaro, diagnosed at 9 months old with spinal muscular atrophy. Doctors told his dad, Agnello, and his mom, Rosa, Sammy wouldn't make it to the age of 2. Sammy is 21 years old. He graduated from John Abbott, business administration, sports marketing, honor student, opened up his own social media company about 8 or 9 years ago, has a following of 6.5 million people on Instagram and on Snapchat and his TikTok videos. He reaches over 1 million people. He has 7 or 8 different Instagram accounts. He now has podcasts in Montreal, in Toronto, in Detroit, in Arizona, in Tennessee, in Pittsburgh, in Chicago. You have one in Cleveland yet?
Yeah, we have one in Cleveland as well.
And one in Cleveland as well. How many podcasts you have now?
8 cities now.
8 cities. That's what Sammy Cavallaro has been able to do. 2 years ago, he was in Yahoo Finance's top 15 entrepreneurs in Canada under the age of 20. He came in at number 4. I knew what I was doing when I pursued the podcast. I just followed Sammy because he's the smartest person I know. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Merry Christmas to everyone. I love you all. We're going to take a couple of days off. We're going to be back when the Montreal Canadiens visit the Tampa Bay Lightning on Wednesday night. So we'll be off. Of course, we're off on weekends. We'll be off on Monday and Tuesday as well. Having said that, if something breaks, I'm going to go on. Why? Because I'm Marinaro. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. Bon Natale. Joyeux Noël.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different, 8.6, intense by nature, and La Cage. If the last time you went to La Cage was when the Habs won the cup, it's time you went back to La Cage. The menu will surprise you.